When the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Welcome to the best soccer show, the best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go! It's the best soccer show. Jason Davis, Jared DuBois, bad back and all, live on a Sunday evening. Smack dab after some actual soccer, Jared. Some competitive soccer happened, and we get to talk about it. I'm excited to be here with you, brother. How you feeling? Tell me all about it.
Physically or spiritually?
Does the physical affect the spiritual? Are you in touch?
I'm almost believing in God right now because there's so much pain in my life.
All right. Well, we do appreciate you, working through the pain and being here because
I got my back is pretty messed up right now.
We hopefully you feel better. You can power through this show. I do think this is a good time to be here. The US U23s just completed a 4-0 win over República Dominicana in Guadalajara, Mexico.
Show off.
I just said the name in Spanish. That's showing off. 3 points towards qualification. Now they have the one game against Mexico, but they're in pretty good shape after beating Costa Rica 1-0 on Thursday. Look, until the second half of the second half just now, they haven't looked impressive. They haven't looked, dominating.
I don't know if you know the answer to this. So obviously we know.
I know the answer to everything. Okay, let's just be.
USA is moving to the semifinals, so that's secured right now. The opponent to be determined, but they've won 2 games. There's no way they cannot go to the semifinals.
No, that's not necessarily true. So Mexico has got 3 points from their win over the Dominican Republic. By the way, the United States has a goal difference advantage now because Mexico gave up a goal to the Dominican Republic. If Costa Rica beats Mexico, then that would put Costa Rica and Mexico both on.
You're right. Costa Rica has to win both Mexico and Costa Rica
and Dominican Republic
to tie in points.
Yeah, yes, right. The United States goes into that game against Mexico in a perfect position. I mean, it's very unlikely they're not going to progress.
Yeah.
But there are some things that could happen that could upend the group. Okay, so
we'll know in 2 hours for sure once the Mexico game is done.
Yeah, and I do want to keep an eye on that. I mean, we're live and people are going to be listening to this after the fact, but I do want to keep an eye on that game. We have phone lines open, so talking about the US U23s is certainly on the agenda at 717-727-2378. We are going to talk about the U.S. men's national team senior roster because you and I talked on Wednesday from the stands, and we kind of talked a little bit. We addressed a couple of things, but we kind of wanted to wait on the roster till tonight so that the besties could jump in and tell us how they felt about the roster because there's some interesting things happening there. And then they make some changes because the travel restrictions have eliminated now, in addition to all those German-based players who have to go back home, and Tim Weah and Serginho, not Serginho Dest, Reggie Cannon, Weston McKinney not there in the first place. Now we know that Tyler Adams, Nicholas Giacchini, not going to be available, not going to be part of this part of this team going forward, and they bring in a couple of new bodies, and that's Christian Kappus, and that's Jordan Sibachu, who is scoring goals, and you might want to get a look at him, but it's not ideal. So those two things are definitely on our agenda tonight. But before we get to that, I have a story for you. I want to tell you this story. Okay, once I tell you the story, you're going to understand why it's very important for me to tell you what happened to me this weekend. So
do tell.
Yesterday, so spring is starting to hit. I know you don't understand seasons at all because you're from California and it's the same all year long. And you're like, whatever. It's January. Let's go outside.
Spring is December.
So it's starting to get spring here. Friend of my wife's had her little birthday celebration, outdoor winery gathering. It's COVID. It's still chilly. It was like in the 50s, so it wasn't exactly comfortable, but we made do. And if you drink enough wine, you feel warm anyway, right?
Sure.
So we go out to the winery. They have a little fire pit there. We have Tiago out for the first time in like that kind of setting. He's in his stroller. He's all wrapped up because my Puerto Rican wife is very worried about his temperature control and keeping him warm. So we're there. We're enjoying our time. We're talking to people. I'm sitting there towards the end. I don't know. We had been there for a couple hours towards the end of our time. So I had a touch or two of the vino. I had partaken a little bit.
You had some grape juice.
I was there, but I wasn't by no means drunk or anything. I was just sitting there kind of enjoying my burn. And my wife we're at this picnic table. My wife is on the other side of the table holding Tiago at this point, right? He's out of the car seat, out of the stroller. She's holding him. This girl walks up, woman. I mean, she wasn't young. She was probably in her 30s. She walks up. She comes up next to me. She looks down and she says, "Excuse me." And I say, "Yes." And she says, "Are you single?" And I say, "No, that's my wife and my child." And she said, "Oh, okay. Well, you're very handsome." And
did your wife hand the baby to someone and go over the table?
So my wife, she handles these things very well. She's a champ. She was like, oh, she kind of did a double take for a second, and then she just kind of watched the whole thing unfold, bemused by this moment. But I was surrounded by about 10 or 12 other Puerto Rican people, and it was like, like when a cat gets the back up and isn't very happy and maybe will attack. Like everybody kind of does this thing where they're like, oh, wait a second, hold on, he belongs to her and she's with us. So what are you talking about? But your boy got an
no. But let's call this. By the way, that was the end of the story. Did you have another plot twist?
Well, she turns out she was Polish. She had a little Polish accent, which I asked about. I don't know if that was the right
girls are great. I can tell you, I married one.
Oh, that's true.
Here's Nikki. Nick, would you mind weighing in on this for just a moment? I want to get your take on this as well. True or false, Nick? Soup and sausage. Nick Soup and Salad.
Yeah, man. That's the same with Nicky Soup and Salad.
Do you feel that this story made it on the air solely so Jason could say that a woman found him attractive in public, or because it was a good story for the show?
No. I'm not denying that.
I asked Nick a question. You need to be quiet, Nick.
I think if I was in Jason's shoes, I would want to tell this story too.
That's not what I asked you. I asked you, why is this story on the show?
Come on. I mean, you're not going to make me mad. I mean, I'm going to agree with you.
How come I'm not in the open sweater club? Are you guys men of a certain age and there's a draft in your house or something?
Don't get distracted, okay, Mr. Attention Deficit. Don't get distracted. We're on top of this right now.
Okay, I'm saying, first of all, I'm surprised your wife didn't come over the table and do something about that.
But she
situation.
doesn't worry about
I think the only reason she didn't is because there was a baby in her arms. She didn't know if she could use it as a weapon or not.
Maybe.
And then secondly, I really feel that you had an intense desire to make sure you understood that woman said that about you on this show. And listen, if I was in your shoes, I would probably say the same thing.
Okay, but this is where
I'll admit it.
Okay, this is my question though, and this is for the besties. And look, unfortunately for women, this is not going to be a question that you need to answer because every woman has been hit on in that blatant kind of way in their lives. It's just a thing that men do with women, but women don't do, as far as in my experience. And maybe that's because I'm not, I'm a reasonably good-looking guy, but I'm not sitting here saying I'm one of the best-looking guys in the world or anything. I don't stop a room. I don't stop a room, right? I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with who I am. I think maybe this has happened like 3 times in my life where a woman has
and now he's bragging that it's happened 2 other times. Oh, that's ridiculous.
Okay.
All right, can we get to this soccer, because at this point I feel like you're pretty soon you're not going to fit on camera. You're like your head's getting so big.
No, that's true. There's absolutely that. Okay. No, I want
to talk about men who are better looking than you, maybe even like Jonathan Lewis or someone like that, because that is a handsome man.
Jonathan. Well, first of all, those guys are all in incredible shape. So yes, you want to talk about being better looking than me? Absolutely. Yes,
and I'll say this: I think the best person that fills out a uniform. I told you this before we started. Benji Michelle fills out a uniform amazing.
Benji Michelle looks great in a uniform. Phil says, "Did you tell her you have a radio show?" I did not pull out that flex.
I think that's the only person Jason hasn't told.
Jared, do you know? I only care about you.
I just found out from that dude. Thanks, Phil.
All right. So Olympic team U23s. It took a long time, right? It took a long time for them to figure it out. It took them a long time to break down Dominican Republic, who was game. Now, what you see in these situations typically when a team is outmatched talent-wise, like DR, is that they can be organized, they can frustrate you for about a half or maybe even 55 minutes, and then the energy level drops because they've exerted themselves so much to get to that point, to keep the game scoreless. And I guess for me, I only care. I'm trying to reconcile this, Jared. I only care about qualification. We missed out twice. This is not the best U23 team we could put together, all things considered.
Okay. Hold on, though. You're saying
Are you bothered? Are you bothered?
Yeah, I agree with you. That's all I care about as well. But if they had grinded out that 1-0 result that they were sitting on for a bit, Do you really think we'd be sitting here talking about it's all about the result? It's all about the whether or not they make it. We'd be pissed off they go 1-0 over Dominican Republic.
That's okay. Look, I would be annoyed by the lack of dominance over a nation rather that they should be. Now, this is also about that balance between how much is the United States didn't play well and how much is that the DR is better than some people thought. And the DR frustrated Mexico for a large portion of that game. So look, are we miles better than Mexico? No. Are we as good as Mexico? I don't think we are, especially with this group of U23 players. So if you had your choice of every U23 eligible American, we're better than Mexico, maybe. But that's not what this is. So
I expect this team to struggle against Mexico. I really do. And I think this team is going to, if it keeps being this group of players we have right now, they're going to continue to be frustrated offensively. I think defensively, this team is pretty sound, mainly because we're playing 3 defensive midfielders in our starting lineup. Let's not deny that Jackson Mule is not a creative midfielder as much as you may want to push him up the field. You saw it with there were a number of times where he needed to have a slightly weighted ball that was way underweighted and just got intercepted. Going forward, he got a goal, and so maybe someone's going to, if you just look at the scoreline, you're going to think he really contributed to that attack by getting that goal. But over the course of the evening, he was routinely found out and that he didn't have the skills to go forward.
I thought he was better than that. I also recognize that that's not his position. And this is where we come to with the makeup of this team and being bothered. And again, taking that in context with the result on the field and how they played, especially on the attacking end. We said the moment Jason Christ dropped this roster, we said, where's the creative midfielders? Yeah. Who's going to unlock a defense? And he's like, oh, well, Johnny Cardoso can do things you don't know about. He's a secret attacking midfielder, right?
He was the second worst player in the game. To be my
this
opinion,
is like a Marvel Universe thing. Like if he's got some sort of magical power we didn't know about, suddenly
is this dude trying to trigger me? Grizzly's saying right back, not great.
I didn't think Julian Araujo was very good today. I did not.
Are you watching the same game as me?
Apparently not. Tell me why Julian Araujo.
What did he do wrong?
I thought that touch and decision making, especially in the final third, was not there.
Did you see how many times he sprung Jonathan Lewis ahead of him?
Okay, well, and Lewis had his moments too, where he was in dangerous places, but didn't put in the ball necessary, didn't make the right decision.
I have no idea.
Lewis with his touch.
You were watching the same one as me, man.
But I think that is reflective of how frustrating it was to watch the game through those first 60 minutes or whatever it was. Right?
Hey, the boss man agrees with me. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, whatever. We're not looking for validation in the chat room, okay?
Oh, I'm always looking for it. If you're looking for it in random females at wineries, I'm looking for it in the chat room. All
right, look, and I'm willing to say that watching that game distracted with the infant in the room probably didn't allow me to properly assess Julian. I will for now until he can talk, and then I won't do it anymore. Julian Araujo, maybe he was better than I thought he was, but again, the whole team struggled attacking-wise.
I thought Sam Vines, when Sam Vines and Julian Araujo are your best offensive weapons for most of the game, I think there's a problem. And I
don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all. I think you're looking in a modern team, you're looking for your fullbacks to do that work and to be dangerous and to create space. And I think Holden said something in the second half about how suddenly they brought the fullbacks a little bit tighter, and it opened up some space on the outside. And you're changing those angles for the Dominican Republic to have to deal with because it got very static in that first half, especially. It got very static, and
extremely.
I think I'm sure most people watching that game, and this is not really about Jesus Ferreira as a player. He's a good player. Obviously had the goal against Costa Rica that helped him win the game. That was not a game for him. The way the Dominican Republic was staying organized and blocking up those,
I think this team did no favors to Jesus Ferreira in this game, because if you go back and watch his runs off the ball in the corner of the screen, if you stop watching where the ball is and you watch where Jesus Ferreira is and the runs he's making, he made fantastic runs that his team just never chose to use. And the flip side of that also, Sam Vines, as effective as he was, there was plenty of times where he was looked off by Saucedo on fantastic overlap runs.
Saucedo was not good.
Saucedo was poor. I would go further. He was poor. Probably the worst player on the field for me in this game. And I think that limited how much they could get out of Vines, because I think he made fantastic runs and got into even better positions and was just looked off over and over. Ferreira's runs were looked off over and over. And I don't know if it's an issue of the midfielders not feeling comfortable playing that ball to release them on those,
Well, I imagine why would they not feel comfortable? Because maybe that's the job.
Not what they do with their club
That's not
teams.
what they do now, and this is exactly what Holden's talking about, right? And it's like, how roasty do we want to get on the players and the performance, but also on Jason Christ? Holden saying, why are we roasting these players who are set up horribly by Jason Christ? I agree, especially in the midfield, that they again, I think Ferreira was the wrong choice. I think considering how the DR was going to put players behind the ball, how they were going to try to clog those passing lanes, you needed a guy with a bigger body, right? You needed a guy who was a danger in the air to occupy center back so that you could open up space underneath him. Ferreira's dropping back, and even when Ferreira got involved in the first half and got touches, he got no runs out of midfield. He's just sitting there waiting for somebody to do something. Nobody's drawing defenders away.
If Christ is part of the problem, just help me out with this. Specifically, what did Christ do? What decisions did he make that were poor, that we're blaming Jason Christ for anything? It's a 4-0 win. I hate to say the word blame, but I know people are frustrated with, and they're using Christ as their scapegoat. I just want to understand, what do you think people are frustrated with when it comes to Christ? And feel free, if you have a thought on this, 717-727-BEST. Give us a call, and so you can talk, so that way Jason doesn't have to speak for you.
No, yeah, I would love to hear from people directly. So I think it is, for me, as soon as I saw the lineup, and I said this in our Besties Slack, that midfield is a blunt object.
I like that you said that. That was a very good to take.
There's no aggression, there's no edge, there's no forward, right? There's guys who are competent on the ball, but you watch that especially the end of the first half. It's a bunch of dudes
in Game of Thrones with like the hammers, and no one has a sword.
Exactly.
You've got to have a mixture of things to be successful in battle. I agree with you. The finesse seems to be missing in it. The execution, the person that's going to be the one that details something. There's something missing in this team. And if we're being honest, the problem is it's all in Europe. That's the problem. It's all in Europe. The whole attacking U23 roster is in Europe and not available to come play for this qualification tournament. So we need to be honest with ourselves that we're watching a B team qualify for the Olympics right now, because it's just not a priority, and that's okay. So maybe we need to have a little bit of grain of salt to this, but I still think there were better options even with what is available right now on this 20-man roster.
What do you expect? This is again the question for everybody. What do you want out of what amounts to sort of the second or even two and a half tier of American U23 talent? What are you looking for in this tournament? Again, and we're talking about the game they won 4-0, by the way, and it sounds like
I'll tell you one of the things I'm looking for, and I saw it in two players today. Pereira. Jeez, I told you I'd do that. Pereira and Araujo, I feel when they have the ball, they look like they're calm. They don't look like they're rushed. I think Pereira is the man of the match for me. I thought he was the best player in the field for the U.S. Okay. Oh, yeah. I thought he did a very good job of slowing the game when it needed to be slowed, advancing when it needed to be advanced. He looked like he was a man playing amongst boys to me and at a cultured level. And I think that's what I'm looking for when I look at this. I'm not looking for nuggets of ability at the U23s. That's what U17s, U20s are for, to find those diamonds in the rough. I'm looking for serviceable players that could potentially take 1 to 2 last roster spots for the World Cup in a year from now. And Pereira looks like the guy. He looked better than Jackson Yule for me. But he's starting to convince me more than for Jackson Yule.
A name and I got to get into a phone call here, but a name we have not mentioned, the guy who scored the 2 goals to open things up before the United States tacked on with that last one from Georgi Mihalovic. Hassani Dotson changed the game when he came in. He did.
Agreed. But let's be honest, too. He came into a game that was already 1-0. And
it was
the Dominican Republic had to change the way they were playing at that point. It had to open up.
They had to open up
away from him.
If they wanted to get something from the game, they definitely had to open up. And Dotson was fresh legs in a game where the DR was just absolutely gassed. All right, let's go to Ashwar in Michigan, who's calling us up to talk about this US U23 victory. Ashwar, what's up, man? Are you there? Ashwar. Okay. Don't know what's happening there. Can't seem to hear him.
Gone. Where was he from?
Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Close. Is it okay? So, man, I thought we were gonna get a miss.
Oh, there he is. What's up? This phone call is about effective as the U.S. attack. Oh, he can't hear us. Okay, well, we'll return him to the waiting room for the moment and see if Mr. Soup and Salad can figure that out. All right. So again,
We were talking
again,
Hassani Dotson.
We were talking about Hassani Dotson. I think at one point, Stuart Holden mentioned, Hassani Dotson making a case for himself to be involved in the U.S. men's national team going forward, but it's a very competitive position. I like Hassani Dotson. He's a pretty good player. He's done a lot of things. He's been a Swiss Army knife for Minnesota United. And by the way, those people love that dude up there. They will defend him to the hilt.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I see him being a factor for the U.S. men's. He's a Gold Cup player, right? If we're going to talk about this.
Oh, yeah, I would assume so. I mean, you got to talk about there's a list of people in front of him. Now, granted, Jordan Morris not being available makes one more spot depth available for the conversation, but I still don't know if it's Hassani Dotson at this point. But there are other players now that he can be going in a conversation for the Gold Cup. And who's to say if he doesn't have a great Gold Cup? I mean, obviously, if he's at the Olympics, he's not at the Gold Cup. But we'll see what happens with the Olympics.
Well, I mean, okay, maybe he's an Olympic player, right? Maybe because of what he does here, you send him to the Olympics. I don't know. But my point is that you are not coming into this match watching Hassani, as much as talented as Hassani Dotson is in an MLS context, in a U23 Olympic qualifying team. We're not judging the U.S. men's national team by Hassani Dotson. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I understand that there are. It's not as though that midfield is like super deep at certain positions. It's probably Adams and then Yule and then Perea.
You mentioned the midfield, and Eshwar put in the chat here what his question was going to be, and that was the point he wanted to make was why not play Ferreira as the number 10 is to have a creative presence essentially, and then have Soto be a true number 9.
Well, yeah, but you also
right.
Sure, but and I think you mentioned it. It would have been nice to have Ilianes in this team and what that might have looked like.
If you see Giannis instead of Salcedo in this game, I think you would have maybe seen something special, given the positions that Salcedo was able to find himself in and not produce from, over dribbling at times too inside. But here's the other thought on this. Maybe Ferreira on the left and Soto in the middle. Who's to say Ferreira has to play in the middle?
No, that's true, and I think there was a thought about that coming into the tournament that maybe Ferreira would get pushed out wide, sort of because you are limited in there wasn't a whole lot of obvious. I don't know. You have Benji Michel, he can play out wide. You have Jonathan Lewis, who again was like he was like 3/4 of the way there today. Not quite that extra level to get it done.
Yeah, stuff. He kept getting in behind on the side, but I think the service could have been a little bit better, or sometimes failed to find service, cut the ball back a lot just because he wasn't confident in making the service from the end line at times. But I thought he was consistently in good position, and I'll say the same thing with Salcedo. Salcedo was in good position a lot. It was his decision making once he was on the ball. I thought Jonathan Lewis did a better job in that respect. But like I said, for me, Cardoso definitely left me a lot to be desired today, and Salcedo left me with a lot to be desired. I would be surprised if either of those two players are in the lineup come Mexico.
Yeah, but this is the thing we don't. Again, this is just such a weird sort of grab bag of players for Kreis, who chose not to bring in maybe a more creative element outside of Mahatlovic, who, look, he did some nice things at the end of the game here.
Here's an interesting take. Wesley puts in here, Conrad and Yuli would have feasted this tournament. Why do you think Conrad de la Fuente is not released or wasn't even in the thought process when you're this low on creativity? I
don't know I don't know. Maybe you just don't want to have that conversation with Barcelona. I don't know. I mean, he's playing in Barca B. All right, let's go to Eshwar, who we weren't able to get connected with the first time around. I think maybe this will be better this time. Eshwar, what's up, man?
Hey guys, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep, you sound good.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, I kind of hit on it in the chat a little bit, but it's just frustrating to always see the U.S. There are a couple of creative options out there. I understand a lot of them are, Brendan Ericsson's in Europe, and then a couple of guys have moved on since the last qualifying round, but to just continue to see us playing like 3 D mids, it's like everyone saw it. Like you saw when the lineup came out, it's like, okay, well, what do you think is going to happen? I mean, it's just frustrating. I don't know why. If we're playing scared against the Dominican Republic,
I don't think that's what it is. I don't think it's scared. I don't think it's playing scared. I think this is Jason Kreis trying to play 12th dimensional chess. Like, I think he's got some idea that he's going to more like, he obviously likes certain characteristics of players like Johnny and Perea, and he wants to get these players, and Dotson, obviously, who's not necessarily known as a creative attacking player. he likes something about them and then justifies in his head bringing all of them in because for whatever reason, maybe he's more creative than people give him credit for, which is, again, kind of...
I think it's the other way. I think it's slightly different than that, Jason. I think the reason you bring these guys in is because a midfield with those guys in it, you're always going to be in the game. You're always going to be in the game because you're not going to give up many goals. I think it's maybe a little old school thinking for the way the U.S. used to play a little bit more with the bucket midfields and stuff like that. Like, I think
the bucket came to mind as soon as I saw this game the way it was playing out. I was like, look, it's three midfielders, but you're basically, and you're only playing one holding mid, but it feels empty bucket.
You can call Jackson Yule what you want. You can call him whatever position you want in this lineup, but he's do
you have a pet name for Jackson Yule?
That's what he is, you know.
Yes.
I think you're wrong. And maybe this is a little bit of trying to play the same style to an extent that you may see at the national team because
definitely that
McKennie and Adams are both going to be playing. Now, granted, 6 months ago we thought McKennie was something different than we think now. 6 months ago, you're thinking about McKennie as a slightly more aggressive, more offensive Tyler Adams, right?
I don't know that necessarily the Berhalter is going to use McKennie the same way that he's being used at Juve, which is certainly a pressing option in the midfield, obviously back pressing when they use the ball and get caught out. He's covers tons of ground, all those things, but also like he kind of pushes up into the box as an attacking player when Juve is in possession. I don't know.
Maybe we don't know that Jackson Yule in practice is amazing at that, and we're just not seeing it in this game. I don't know.
Perhaps, but that's not the position on the field that you would expect Jackson Yule to be playing. As you said, whatever. Obviously, in this case, if you're trying to replicate what Greg Berhalter wants to do with the senior national team, with his U23 team, then what are you saying? That Andres Perea or who else is a defensive midfield option in this team that's playing ahead as that 8-10? You're thinking those players are Yunus Musa-like? They're Giovanni Reina-like? They're not, because obviously Reina's a much more creative player, but if you want to equate one of these guys to Yunus Musa, because I think in a lot of people's head, the ideal U.S. midfield is Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, and Yunus Musa, right?
There's an argument to be made for that.
It's a ton of energy. It's obviously...
But think about how Yunus Musa played in the times he played for the national team. He had a lot of defensive and ball-winning responsibility.
Oh, for sure. That's what I'm saying.
He trusted him to turn those winning opportunities into offense. And I think that's what you're trying to see being done to this team here.
But what you're not getting out of a Yunus Musa is, the 30-yard ball cutting out lines. They had problems with that, right? And obviously they wanted the center backs to do it, and it wasn't getting done, at least in the first half. But what Yunus Musa can do is he can carry the ball 30 yards up the field to lay it off to a winger or to a fullback on the overlap. And
how many times did you see Johnny Cardoso give up the ball trying to dribble today?
That's what I'm saying. You're trying to replicate a player who does not exist with this team, and you're trying to do something that Berhalter wants to do with a skill set of players that don't have that skill set. I mean, that's the best I can do. I swear, I know I cut you off. You got anything else? He left. He's gone. But he got his piece in, so I'm good.
Let's clear this up for BD Smokey right here. He says, "Why no Ochoa tonight? Didn't he earn a start?" I think absolutely. I think he looked fantastic last game. This was the game where if you could risk something on a different goalkeeper, I think this is a way of getting JT Marcinkowski some play time, get him a start, get another 90 minutes to compare across the two. I still think it's Ochoa come Mexico, though. That's my feeling on it.
I would guess that, but I don't think they coming into camp, they had an idea about who was the clear number one, and so I have no problem with rotating. And Marcinkowski, wasn't really tested. I mean, there's a couple of moments when the DR could have maybe gotten something off a break, and it just didn't happen, didn't come together for them.
But
all right.
I'll tell you what, the number 10, I forget what his name was, that plays for Inter Miami, that played for that kid is a talent.
He can play for sure. He can play, and kind of left out there, isolated, forced to kind of do things on his own for DR, but made some stuff happen. Scored the goal against Mexico.
It's interesting to see. It's interesting to see, like when you think about a talent like that, some of the players you saw for Curacao, like the last Gold Cup. The CONCACAF region, the Caribbean portion of it, is quickly catching up to the other nations in the region. I don't know if they're ever going to reach the same status because of the infrastructure and the money that other nations have at their disposal, but they're slowly closing in, and MLS is a big part of that. And we've had that conversation before. It's just interesting to see every time there's another CONCACAF tournament, you see talent and things coming up that you didn't see 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, the bigger countries like Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago are going to be there, but getting them.
And as Morgan says, Guzman, I thought looked really good in that goal back there. I mean, obviously overzealous, but definitely impressive to watch.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the U23 situation, and we're going to keep an eye on Mexico, Costa Rica, who are about to kick off down in Guadalajara, just to kind of wrap up that group after 2 matches. But we also got to talk about the senior national team because they're playing Jamaica in Austria on Thursday, and then playing against Northern Ireland in Belfast on Sunday. We always knew that there were going to be complications with the roster because of travel restrictions.
Yeah.
When the roster came out on Wednesday, we did know already that 7 players would only be available for the first match. It put a lot on that first match. And of course, Weston McKennie not included, even though he made the bench today for Juve, not included in this team because he's carrying some sort of injury. I mean, again, this is negotiation back and forth. Juve saying,
In Pirlo's defense, I don't think McKennie has started the last 3 or 4
No,
games.
he hasn't. It wasn't like he can't play for the national team and then he's in the starting lineup, which does occasionally happen. But this is clearly
And Pirlo's going to fight for a Champions League spot. Like, they have a lot to lose by letting McKennie go if there is some kind of knock he picks up or something like
Sure.
that.
Sure.
I think
or if he
Berhalter's
gets
doing him a
exposed
favor,
again.
too. Yeah.
I know he's already had COVID, but if he gets exposed again or something, there's that. I don't know. All right, so let's go to this roster because there are new changes that happened this weekend as well that on Friday rather that make it even less illustrative of what we might see when the U.S. is playing in a competitive match. So your goalkeepers now, Horvath. It was always this. Horvath, Chituro Dunze, the Leicester City youngster, and Zach Steffen. We know Steffen's going to be the number 1. He'll definitely start the Jamaica game. I don't know about
Got a legit start for Man City, too, not just a FA Cup start this week.
Speaking of FA Cup starts, I'll come to that in a second.
Yeah.
Defenders, John Brooks. Why did we drop to Anthony? It's just so much better, cleaner. John Anthony Brooks.
Yeah.
It sounds like
why we ditched the Fiscal on Michael Orozco?
Well, okay. You know why that
Michael freaking Orozco Fiscal.
but
Jason, as you're reading out the roster for people that may not know, do you want to notate the players that have to leave after the game, first game? I have it here.
Yes. So John Brooks is leaving. John Anthony Brooks. I like John Anthony Brooks because it sounds like he would have an R&B record out in like 1987.
And his initials are Jab.
Jab. That's great. Hopefully he gets one of those things. So everybody go out and get the jab. Okay. John Brooks is leaving. He's there for the first game anyway. Reggie Cannon also leaving after the first game. Serginho Dest, 2. Count them 2. I'm going to give the man. I feel like he just deserves it. I mean, they are what they are. They're not. He's crashing the back post in 1. He finishes. He's way up the field to get on the end of that Messi pass, which very nicely done and good finish. 2 goals for Serginho Dest. He's there for both games. Aaron Long of the New York Red Bulls. Matt Miazga. You're surprised by Long?
Only because I didn't think MLS players were really going to go to this. I was really surprised that they pulled Aaron Long for this. I'm happy that they did because I still think that he is probably the guy that is ready now. Chris Richards is hot on his tails for that position.
Hot.
But Aaron Long knows the system. He already has a relationship with John Brooks, Anthony Brooks. And so I was impressed to see this, but just a bit surprised.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, okay, I'll get to them in a second. Aaron Long, Matt Miazga, Eric Palmer Brown, who, is a project player at this point, and he's in Europe and he's available. I mean, I don't know that everybody's thinking Eric Palmer Brown's breaking into the first team anytime soon. Tim Ream, there for the leadership, there for versatility. Don't hate on it. I know people get real up in arms about Tim Ream being included in a team like this because he's not a player for the future. He's not going to be at a World Cup 2022. I get it. But he is a player that everybody respects in that team, and I think that matters for Berhalter. Brian Reynolds, who just made his debut last week for Roma. I mean, also a project player, but he is in a big club. He's in Europe. He's
Makes
there.
sense, too, with Reggie Cannon having to leave after the first game.
Absolutely. Chris Richards, who you talked about, is leaving after the first game. Did get a start for Hoffenheim this weekend. Did get pulled off in that game. I thought did they end up losing to Mainz? I didn't see the end. I watched some of that game.
Either.
Okay, but Chris Richards had, I think he created had an assist in that game. I think he had a moment or two.
He may be one of the hottest defenders on this list right now. Besides, Dest scoring, but in terms of center backs, he's definitely hot right now for the Hoffenheim.
Yeah, look, and here to the point about Tim Ream. Tim Ream's not even playing for Fulham. Yes, he's a bench player for Fulham right now. I get it, lefty. but I'm okay every now and then bringing in a player with some experience and knows all these things, right? And there, as Nick says here as well, lots of players are going to be needed in 2021, regardless of, maybe Tim Ream's a Gold Cup player. I don't know. That I could very easily see that.
He's a Gold Cup captain, to be honest with you.
He might be the Gold Cup captain. That's a very good shout. Anthony Robinson, who is, I got yelled at because I put a roster or a lineup together rather after the changes to the roster, where I was mostly making the point that at defensive midfielder you have a guy who's going like this because Tyler Adams is gone now.
Yeah.
But somebody got mad at me because Anthony Robinson's a starter for a Premier League team. Why isn't he starting in my lineup, which had Dest and Cannon? It's for me, it's kind of a wash. I think Anthony Robinson is a more effective attacking player than Reggie Cannon is.
How dare you not match a random person's lineup?
I know. Well, I think it's interesting because Robinson has kind of he did kind of drift away from the starting lineup for Fulham for a while.
I
but
think
now
since he got that red card, actually, I think that's been kind of the touch point where he's hasn't been quite as hot for them.
And then we have in the midfield, Brendan Aronson, Red Bull Salzburg, Kellen Acosta. This is another one of the MLS players. And again, a veteran player, older player, definitely a Gold Cup kind of player in this team.
And you just said, who's your defensive midfielder? Now you have a guy that can potentially play it.
He's not
I know,
naturally
but out of the choices that are here, what name comes off to you?
Well, okay, so we'll come to this. Kristen Kappas is one of the replacement players who comes in for Tyler Adams after he pulls out of the squad or is pulled out. Yunus Musa, obviously, and by the way, added U.S. men's national team to his Twitter bio.
Oh yeah,
so
baby.
It's on for real now with Yunus Musa.
I'm just thinking about Chevrolet commercials, Budweiser commercials, all that good stuff right now in my head.
Yeah, Owen Odasawi is the last midfielder. Again, a project player. He's got a cap from last November. He is he's very athletically gifted, but he is super raw, and I'm not sure what his position is. So I suppose you could envision a situation where Owen Odasawi gets maybe a start in midfield, which I don't know what that configuration looks like.
We all know what's going to happen, dude. We all know what's going to happen. Sebastian Leget's going to start in midfield. It's going to happen. Yeah,
well, did I skip over him or did I not?
You did, but I didn't know if you were
I skipped over him and Luca De La Torre, both of those players also there. Yeah, Sebastian Leget's going to start. He's going to start in one of those forward two spots, but I don't know again. But Kellen Acosta behind him, and then maybe you give it to Brendan Aronson is the other one. Is he doing enough defensive work? Probably not.
I think Leget, they'll have Leget play the holding role, and they'll have
Musa's going to be there. Yeah, Musa's going to start at least the first game. Forwards are Daryl Dike, Christian Pulisic, Gio Reyna leaving after the first game, Josh Sargent leaving after the first game, and now Jordan Sibachu, Tim Weah pulled out of the team, as did Nicholas Giacchini. So you've lost two forwards. You're replacing them with one in Jordan Sibachu. You're still going to end up.
Yunus Musa can play forward if he needs to.
He can play. He can play on the wing. Sure, you could do that. So can Brendan Aronson, by the way, if you want to push him out there. You certainly could do that.
And according to the Wales game, so can Leget.
Leget can play center forward. Yes.
Yeah.
Look, it is now lost a lot of the. Oh my gosh, we're going to learn something. I'm not saying we won't learn something, and there are players who can certainly make a name for themselves or improve their stuff.
I'm seeing the silver lining on this, Jason. I'm seeing the silver lining on this because Chris Richards has to leave after the first game. You might actually see him and John Brooks, the two guys. They both have to leave after the first game.
Your silver lining is that a global pandemic is going to force Greg Berhalter to play your preferred center back alongside Anthony Brooks.
The silver lining of the pandemic was the fact that Christian Pulisic caught fire last summer. That's the silver lining of that. But listen, I think there's a chance you might get to see the meme center back tandem of Richards and Brooks because you only get them for one game.
Sounds like a law firm, by the way. Yeah, the law firm of Richards and Brooks. Yeah.
Richards, Long, and Brooks. Yeah, okay.
Sure. They all three sound like lawyers. I want to see Chris Richards get a chance to do something more meaningful at this point. I think he's probably ready for at least that audition. Whether or not he's going to start over Aaron Long, if you had to go to the Azteca tomorrow, are you playing Chris Richards or Aaron Long, Jared? You know what? Let's just we'll make it very, very official here. And all the besties in the chat, in the phone line, 717-727-2378. If you want to chime in here, you're playing at the Azteca tomorrow, next week, whenever. You got a meaningful game against Mexico. Aaron Long, Chris Richards. And you could throw in another name if you want, but I think those are the two.
I think I think I think that's a fun, because these are the fun two to play against each other. I'm going Aaron Long, and it's not because I necessarily think he's the best center back. I just think that there's something to be said about two guys who have played together a number of times at this point, and probably have been talking offline as well, because I'm sure they both expect to be the center back pairing if there was a game at the Azteca tomorrow. I think there's something to be said about familiarity, but I think Chris Richards right now may be better than Aaron Long. Like, he might be. It's in such a short period of time. That's the hard thing. And we keep talking about this with all these guys, the Matthew Hoppies, the Sibachu even at this point. These guys are on good runs right now, and you just don't know if that is a mirage or if that's the future, and that's the way it's going to be. Christian Pulisic and Gio Reyna are teaching us lessons on that right now. So I would take Aaron Long myself.
Okay. Sorry, you just glitched out on me there for a second, so just try to follow up.
I would take Aaron Long. What about yourself?
Okay. It looks like I would play Long as well, because I think familiarity, as you said, matters, and knowing the system and being comfortable and having played some internationals at a high level, I think that matters right now if you're playing Mexico. Now, also keep in mind, though, and this is the other wrinkle, there's no meaningful game right now, and that's a good thing because Aaron Long's in preseason and not going to be 100% match fit, not going to be 90 minutes match fit. Whereas Chris Richards absolutely is 90 minutes match fit. So it looks like most people are picking Aaron Long, except for JP, who's picking Matt Miazga. Why you throw a wrinkle in there? He wasn't even involved.
Well, we did say pick your poison. He picked poison, all right.
You take issue with that. I mean, and there are other players I think that we would like to see in this group that aren't here, so Mark McKenzie settling in still after his move to Belgium.
That was why I think Tim Ream caught a lot of hate, not just because he's Tim Ream and he got selected, but because they see it as an equivalency that Tim Ream was picked and Mark McKenzie was not. And I get it. But if you think about it this way, this is a chance to get your Gold Cup captain into a camp, get him ready to get the Gold Cup team. Hey, this is what I want you to work on with these guys. They come into this camp, see what we're doing, see what our system is, where you're going to help us get through the Gold Cup and get these next guys ready. Then I understand that as a decision. But if someone's going to stand in front of me and say Tim Ream is a better center back than Mark McKenzie, they're going to get slapped upside the head.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of factors involved here, and as we already have established, the depth of the player pool is going to be tested this year because you're taking a bunch of U23 players to the Olympics. They can't play in the Gold Cup, which means you got to choose a Gold Cup team that's going to be, what is that? Which one are you valuing more, the Gold Cup championship or the Olympic, potentially making a medal round in the Olympics? And then you obviously have qualifiers coming up in September, and there are 3 of them in the month of September. So, all of that is a factor here. Mexico up 1-0 on Costa Rica as we speak, thanks to Nick Murray for sharing that information. So looks like the Mexicans
one foot of the semifinals
are on their way. And that, look, we always knew that it was going to be really tough to beat Mexico. Obviously, to see them go up on Costa Rica within 6 minutes when it took the United States.
Mexico's just traditionally so good at the youth national level. They're the class of CONCACAF at the youth national level. No, but I think we got distracted with some of our pick your poison before you got the chance to cover the forwards in the pool.
Well, we do. Okay, we'll get to the forwards here, but we do have a call. So let's go to Ray in Milwaukee who wants to jump in here. Ray, what you got, man?
First, I would just like to say you guys got a phenomenal show. And when we talk about dual nationals, I'm glad that we didn't go in the direction of Ambi Wambach or Casey Keller when it comes to the open door recruitment. Jurgen Klinsmann was heavily criticized by these two individuals about set policy. And what warms my heart personally is that the fan base that clearly fell on deaf ears within the fan base, because of these young boys who are choosing the United States, it's because they see the love that the fans are giving them and openly recruiting them.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I appreciate that call, Ray. It's not.
I mean, it's not like England fans didn't like Yunus Musa, but are English people traditionally rah about their country? I don't think so.
I mean, it's definitely club over country there in England. I'm the way that international soccer works, you kind of just have to let it go when it comes to they feel this, they feel that, they bleed the colors of the flag. Well, no,
I don't
not
bleed
really.
The colors of the flag, and I was born here.
Are you anti-American? Is that what you're?
I'm not anti-American.
Okay.
I'm just not nationalistic.
I'm just messing with you. All right. So again, the nature of this camp was always going to be an odd one. It's still going to be odd. This is the last chance, though, to get together before the Nations League, which comes up in June. They will play a warm-up against the Swiss. Jared, I don't know if you saw that.
I did not see that.
Added a game against Switzerland as a sort of a
good level of
Nations League warm-up. That game is going to happen
let's be honest, that's better than either of the two games, the other two teams they're going to play in this cycle.
Yes, absolutely. They're ranked number 16 in the world. The Swiss are going to be tough defensively and very organized, and they do have some.
Is that on a FIFA window?
It is. I believe it is. I don't have the exact FIFA window, but I believe it is because they're going to call up a team ahead of the Nations League, which isn't a FIFA window. So I'm assuming that they're going to have their full team available here, so that they can get ready for this. Get ready for that Nations League.
That's a good pull. That's a good pull.
Yeah.
Right now, it's really tough to set up friendlies. A lot of teams are either not doing them or the UEFA calendar is so packed as well. It's getting really tough to get European teams right now to play in Europe where US is trying to get games. So it's definitely a good get if you get someone like.
Okay, let's come back to the forwards here because you did want to get a little bit deeper on the forwards, which I did talk about. Like, you have an issue of availability and what you do in that second game, particularly Daryl Dike, who is on a run, on fire, enamored with Barnsley. They're enamored with him.
They love him.
They do love him. Now, I do have a little bit. This is not necessarily related to his performance in this team. It's good to see him get a call up, but I have Nikki Soup and Sausage has a video here that I want to show you, Jared. This is from Daryl Dike's TikTok.
I enjoy getting fan mail, like pictures and notes and stuff. Like, it makes me feel good. I read them, I keep them all and stuff like that. But anyways, so I had someone send like a really, really nice note. And then after they said like, hey, can you sign one of these pictures? And I was like, okay, yeah, why not? I opened the pictures. Is that me? Is that supposed to be, I'm not Josie Altidore.
I actually think that Daryl Dike handled this way nicer than maybe he should have because, that's racism. Okay, you can't. That's casual racism.
The Samuel L. Jackson and Morgan Freeman thing that people do, or it was a Lawrence Fishburne and Samuel L. Jackson. That it's ridiculous. But I hope that's not a USA fan that was asking for that. You know what my guess is, it could be someone trolling him from another team.
I don't think so. What I think probably happened, and it's again casual racism, definitely. But what I think probably happened is that's a collector. That's somebody who's trying like, Daryl Dike is going to be the hot new thing. Let's get him to sign something.
Dike signs that dude got a one of a kind.
That's absolutely. What do you think the response should be? What should Daryl do? I mean, obviously put it up on his TikTok.
I mean, he should trash that picture and do exactly what he did. I thought he handled it fantastic. I mean, don't give haters what they want. And I think the guy's just a fun-loving, nice guy.
Oh, he's a sweet guy, for sure.
Don't you get the feeling that he's a guy that was not 6'1" and 200 pounds early in life? I feel like that dude had to become a nice guy because he's not built like an athlete growing up. And then all of a sudden he woke up one day and like, look at this gift I was given. And he already had a great personality.
I actually don't think so because he's got an older brother who was in MLS briefly, Bright DK, who was always that guy too, 6'1", a svelte 195 or whatever.
His parents did him right. They raised him fantastic. That you get the feeling that is just a nice guy. That's a guy I want in my lineup, and that's a guy I want in my system. And the dude works hard. I mean, you could see on the field he works hard. He's got passion, and I'm really happy. I'm happy that Josh Sargent has to leave after one game because I think that's going to force us to be able to see DK in at least one game as a starter.
I didn't see this. I don't know where John Parker got his information, but he says that Daryl Dike also got an Akinola picture. Which
you can't even get the country right.
What has happened? Well, Akinola is, he could be a U.S. He's played for the United States, which Good John Lord. Says. I think it was someone thinking Akinola was Altidore who was think about the levels to that. They were like,
white people, fix your shit, man.
I mean, we're assuming it's a white person.
Come on,
it's probably
I know
probably
my
a
own.
white person.
We suck.
Yes, I am rooting so hard for Daryl Dike to grab this opportunity, and he didn't look great in his debut. Like, he looked uncomfortable, he looked nervous when he made his American debut. Hopefully, he is more comfortable now. It was before he went to Barnsley. He's there now in England,
Before
and I
he was
know
swapping
it's the
shirts with
championship.
Akinfenwa, and he was talking about him after the game.
Yeah, Akinfenwa showering Daryl DK with praise. So you get that you get blessed by Akinfenwa. You're doing pretty good. So I just it's an amazing little video there from Daryl DK as he kind of deals with his rising fame, his rising stardom. And it does this before we move on from Daryl and talk a little bit more about this national team forward pool. Do you think that Orlando's looking good right now, having turned down the reported $10 million offer?
I told you they made the right decision then. I still think they're looking good by turning that down. The dude has scored since we had that conversation. Has he scored 3 goals?
I think it's something like
that. We
that.
had that conversation.
Something like that, yeah.
And listen, that dude, if you're a Barnsley fan, that dude's talismanic right now for you. Like, you're angry if your club doesn't pay $20 million for him. The pressure on Barnsley at the end of the season, if they feel pressure, I don't know if Barnsley's capable of feeling pressure from their fans, but if you get promoted, and it looks like they're in a good position to be able to do so right now.
Well, they're going to have a chance to play.
You're going to expect your team to spend some of that money and not pocket it, and the place you want to spend is on Daryl DK. The
fans are going to yell for them to buy Daryl DK, and I don't think it's going to be 20 mil. I think they'll, if they win promotion, and it's going to have to be through the playoffs. They're going to have to get a win a couple of games to get there. If they manage to do it, there will be pressure. They'll go back to the negotiating table and they'll make Orlando a different offer. It's not going to be a $20 million offer, but I could see it being a $15 million offer. And maybe that moves Orlando. Maybe Orlando says, okay, now we're fine. But certainly if you're Orlando,
moves, I don't think it's the Barnsley. I think
I don't think so either.
Comes in, swoops it. I don't expect him back in Orlando though.
I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see a Premier League team in the bottom half of the table that avoided relegation. Obviously, I think you're going to see one of them make a bid, and him end up somewhere. I mean, I can see Newcastle. I don't think, are they going to go down? I don't know where Newcastle is right now.
They're on the brink, but I don't. Think
I can see Newcastle making a move for Daryl DK. They spend more money than teams in the yo-yo positions usually do, because of the strength of their fan base.
Orlando's in a tough position though if they end up selling here, because you don't really have another good option to really. You just brought Pato.
Definitely a problem.
You got Nani, you got Pereira in the midfield. You got all 3 of these guys pushing the ball forward to who? Like it's
right. Yeah,
they're going to have to. Hopefully, they can spend real quick and get someone in to replace Daryl DK. They should start looking now. Don't wait.
Well, yeah, you have to, but again, I don't know that you were planning on the market around. This is the problem that MLS teams are going to face now, and it's a great problem to have. And certainly for us as fans, if you are, your individual team having to address it is tough. If you're an Orlando City fan, again, you probably love Daryl DK, not just because of what he did for you in his first season, but because of how nice a guy he is, how much he puts out on the field with every time he plays. He endears himself to the fans. And as an Orlando fan, you might wonder where the goals go if you sell him. But as an MLS fan, in a general sense, when Don Garber got up in Atlanta a couple of years back and said, we want to be a selling league now, we all kind of went, okay, yeah, but prove it. Hey, man, they got a chance. It's happening right now. Let's go.
I think the pandemic has even pushed this even harder, because teams right now need to return on investments now, because they lost a lot of money last year. I think there's hitting a sweet spot right now between the club being ready, having the talent to sell, and having to be forced to do so. So one thing I think is interesting, with the players that are leaving, Gio Reyna leaving after the first game, Josh Sargent leaving after the first game, you're going to get to see 2 full games of Christian Pulisic. I think you're seeing 2 full 90 minutes of a guy who's maybe starting to fit back into the Chelsea system here. We'll see his FA Cup game today.
Yeah, man of the match in an FA Cup victory for Chelsea. A game that they absolutely had no business losing. So you have to keep that in mind. The quality of the competition.
They led until the 93rd minute on an own goal.
Yeah, no, they weren't dominant by any stretch, but they absolutely should wax the floor with Sheffield United, even if they're looking down the bench a little bit. And look, you have to start somewhere. So it'd be wrong for me to sit here and go, well, it was an FA Cup match. He gets to start an FA Cup match. Well, Tuchel still doesn't think of him as a first choice player, but at the same time, Mason Mount was in that game, right? Yeah. Maybe Olivier Giroud's not indicative of a strong Chelsea team. He's a bench
I believe started that game as well. He's been getting a decent run of minutes as well. I think what you're seeing is Stanley Tucci still is undefeated with this team since he got there. And
God, you did that. By the way, everybody says I should watch this Stanley Tucci show where he walks around Italy or something. Have you heard about this?
I didn't know that coach had a show.
Okay, well, go ahead.
So Nikki's giving you the thumbs up. I don't know what it is, but I think it's interesting to see with so much that he has on the line right now. Undefeated, Champions League run still going, FA Cup semifinals now. He's turning to Pulisic still and willing to give him a shot. I didn't know that I felt the same way about how he saw Pulisic 3 weeks ago. Okay. I think that you're starting to see that, okay, maybe he's doing something in practice that's impressing him. But I'll say this. Pulisic looks like he's playing with a lot more confidence in these last 2 to 3 games than I've seen over the last 2 to 3 months. I think he looks like he's confident when he's out there, which surprises me, given that there's nothing really to give him confidence by the way the coach has invested in him.
Okay, now I was not able to, I flipped by this game. I had lots going on. I wasn't able to sit and watch it. Are we on bearded Pulisic or not bearded Pulisic?
It's like
at
half
this point?
beard. It's like stubble.
So is he doing like a 5 o'clock shadow thing?
There's a
like
shadow.
I've seen him and I'm like, dude, it's not, you're not in Miami Vice. Like this is not 1987.
His face is reflecting his career. It's Eden Hazard's shadow, and he's living in it.
Oh Jesus, man! I don't even know. Does that work? I mean, I guess I'm laughing. I guess it does, man.
Jay Rodius.
Oh, and we also got a bearded Reyna. Did you see the bearded Reyna
No.
that was out? You didn't see Giovanni?
You got a bearded Reyna Jr.?
There was a bearded Reyna. Yes, the younger Reyna, the younger.
He had those hormones yet.
Yeah, he's out there. So all right, so
he could be a hairy dude.
Lots to look. Yeah, the lineage would indicate as such. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna see. We'll see on Thursday. And for your best soccer show schedule for all of you people, we are going to be live Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So this time slot on Thursday to take your phone calls on the United States against Jamaica
also
from
after
Austria.
The Sunday game as well.
We will be live after the Sunday. Well, we'll be live on Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time again.
Yeah, so we're not going to do directly after the final whistle like we've done in past games. We both have some conflicts going on, but we will be there 9 p.m. Eastern both nights after the game.
Yes, 9 p.m. Eastern phone call shows, call-in shows for you to talk about the U.S. Men's national team. And tell your friends and spread the word and let them know that we're here doing all this stuff. We got things in the work. Oh, I had a conversation, Jared. Very interesting conversation with somebody who makes really cool jerseys. And the old dad FC wheels they're spinning. They're starting to they're lots of kids in the back asking, are we there yet? I'm getting frustrated in the front seat. People are arguing over the music, but we're on the road.
Don't make me come back there.
Don't make me come back there. Yeah, don't make me pull this car over. It's a good one too. We didn't put that in the.
I think that came up.
Did it? Okay.
I still take the trash out.
I know you like to take the trash out. That's your vote. I'm still because I said so. I feel like that one just cuts through all kinds of stuff because I said so.
I think you may have a hard time trademarking that. I think there's a movie that I enjoy with my wife called that.
Oh, is there? I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, it's I can't remember the singer. The chick used to be a singer. Now she's an actress. I can't remember her name. But
okay.
So real quick, I know we'll have a limited minutes. Can we real quick go through each of what we think our 11s are going to be for this game coming up, the first game?
Oh, sure. We can do that. We can take a shot at it.
Because there's a few things that are going to happen. That X number of players are going to leave after the first game. So I think the first game is an interesting conversation because you only get one shot to see some of these players and combinations. So for me, coming from the back, I guess if you want to ding me if you agree, and if not, you can let me know.
Okay, sure. That sounds like a good way to go. All right,
in the back, I think it's going to be Zach Steffen. No issue there.
Absolutely.
I think you're going to see a right back of Reggie Cannon. He's there one
okay,
game.
yeah, I agree with you.
I
that's right. He's only there one game. Yes, go ahead.
I think you see John Brooks, and I'm hoping this is me being Mimi, Chris Richards.
I think that if he doesn't do that, people are going to flip out. Not that Berhalter cares, but you're right. There's too much reason.
Only has one chance to see Brooks and
Long
Aaron
together.
Long is together
Before,
as well. So it's really coin flip for me on those two, and then obviously Serginho Dest at left back.
Absolutely. Well, yes, he's going to be there for both games, as is Anthony Robinson.
But because Reggie Cannon's only there for one, you're going to see Serginho Dest at left back.
I agree. Now this is where it gets real interesting.
It gets interesting here. I think you're going to see Kellen Acosta starting for the U.S. Men's National Team in a Europe friendly.
Okay, I'm going to say yes because the only other option, Christian Kappas has 0 caps. I can't see him playing.
He was even in the thought process before.
No. Odasawi is too young, too raw, and that's not his best position. I don't know what his position is, actually. I think he's more of a forward player, but he's all arms and legs at this point. And then look at El Torre.
So we're agreeing on Kellen Acosta, but begrudgingly.
But just because it's process of elimination. But
Yeah.
you're right. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, then in front, I think it's gonna be Sebastian Lletget,
Yes, I think that's absolutely going to happen.
and I think it's gonna be Yunus Musa.
yes.
And I think Brendan Aronson maybe sees the second game.
Well, if Aronson plays in the second game, I don't think so. I don't think Lletget plays starts in that second game. I think probably what you'll see is, man,
You can see Acosta. Yeah, I can see Acosta, Aronson, and Musa. I can see that, but you're asking Musa to do a lot more defensive work if you do that.
Yes.
Whereas
I would
Lletget is
agree.
comfortable playing box to box.
I would agree with that. Okay, and go to the forward line.
Forward line for me, you're gonna see Josh Sargent in the middle. You see Gio
Yes,
Reyna
he
and Christian
leaves
Pulisic.
after the first game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
you're
go
gonna
ahead.
see Gio Reyna and Christian Pulisic.
Okay, yes, and those Reyna and Sargent leaving after the first game. Pulisic, you definitely want to see start.
And here's
Second
what I
game-
see for the second game. I think you're gonna see Daryl DK, Christian Pulisic, and then maybe Brendan Aronson or Musa at that forward position instead of in the midfield, and that's how you get them to still play the same midfield 2 games in a row.
I think that's probably right. I mean, I mentioned Lletget. I don't think you really want to push him out there. He's not necessarily a wing player.
I don't really put him in the starting lineup, but that's just kind of what we have to do based on the players that are there right now.
All right. Before we wrap this thing up, we haven't heard from Nicholas Soup and Salad directly on the show. I mean, you came by a while ago, but
Well,
I
I
wanted
brought him
to
in to
talk-
check your vanity.
That's right. You did check my vanity. This is slightly different. Actually, no, this is still about my vanity because on my radio show, which Jared DuBois still doesn't realize is a thing, on my radio show, I talked about the shiny lights that the West End Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio has on it when they tested the lights for the first time, put up this video. And I was out there saying, I think that this might be the best soccer stadium in the country. Now, I haven't seen the inside. I haven't been there. I haven't seen a game. Maybe it's premature, Jared. But Cincinnati loves me right now. I'm feeling like I'm going to be eating some Skyline chili this year.
Jeez, that's all it took was just to tell them you like the way they look.
I mean, you compliment somebody, then they come on the radio and tell a story
Maybe I
about
would
how that
have more dates
happens.
if I'd been nicer to people.
You don't need dates.
I
You're
was
good.
always
You
looking
got
at what's on the inside. I guess I'm wrong. You hadn't even seen the inside.
No, you got a good Polish girl. You're happy over there. What do you think of it, though? Have you seen the pictures, the lights, and the technology? I mean, it's
Me or Nick?
you, Jared.
I saw what you posted. So I saw that light show. I thought it was really cool. I thought the shape of the silhouette that I can see in that looked really cool as well.
Looks good, right?
I really like the silhouette and the shape of the outside of the building. I'm going to reserve judgment to see the inside. But I imagine if they nailed the outside that well, I'm pretty sure I did see one shot inside, and it does remind me of Red Bull Arena a bit.
Right.
And I think that's a good thing. I'm not saying that in a bad way because I think Red Bull Arena is one of the class spots that we have in the country.
What is it that again, this is not. I don't really want to throw shade on any of the new stadiums out there because a lot of them are very nice, and the Crew Stadium is going to be nice. The Austin Stadium, both of those opening up this year. Okay, Nick, it's going to be fine. Okay, both of those stadiums opening up this year, they're going to be nice. But what do they tend to do with soccer stadiums? They tend to end up with these open corners, right? They tend to end up with stand, put a roof on it, which is great. We didn't used to even get roofs. Put a roof on it, and we're good to go. And it's a beautiful stadium. But West End, if I'm not mistaken, Nicholas Soup and Salad, is going to be completely enclosed, right?
It is correct. It's completely enclosed like a bowl, and it is covered. The stands are covered, so you've got the roof very similar to Red Bull Arena. It's even got the FC Cincinnati lion into the stands, kind of like the
cool.
Red Bull logo. So yeah, it's very similar. But what it'll be is it will be loud, which will be awesome.
Will it be attended?
It looks amazing.
Say what?
Will it be attended? Are you guys going to sell out that place?
Yes, that
You
place.
think week in, week out, that's going to be a sellout venue?
Well, I mean, until they can get capacity people in there, yes.
I'm sorry. Assuming that you had the ability to, you think?
Oh,
that
that's
season
not a
tickets
question
are that
mark.
good out there?
After Tony Stark gets the thing and snaps, and we all go back to regular life, everybody returns to normal. Then
I'm
you're
2
gonna
weeks away.
feel that. Are you getting a jab?
I already have the first one.
Oh, wait, did you tell me that?
I-
It's over there
sure I told you
bragging.
that.
I didn't know that.
You're bragging.
Yeah,
I'm
I got-
making my move this week.
Well,
I
we
think.
definitely talked it on the Besties Poker, which you didn't show up at. But
Look, man, there's a child that requires my care. Okay, what do you want me to do over here?
you did.
And
You
guys
literally did a show with the baby sitting next to you the other day. I saw it. You posted online about it.
I did. What?
Yeah,
I
you
didn't
had
do
it
it.
like sitting right there next. to
No,
you.
I was watching a game. I was not doing a show. That was me watching a game. He was just hanging
Poker's
out.
a game.
Well, but the problem with poker, whatever. You know how this works. Am I allowed to have fun if there's a child to take care of? when the other person in the house is not having fun. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Do you understand what my? Okay.
It would stop getting picked up on by random women. You might be able to improve that situation.
You don't think that should? So never mind. Okay. Yeah.
I'll say this about the stadiums with the open corners. That I will agree with you, with the exception of just LAFC, because I thought what they did was fantastic by turning the stadium enough so that open corner gets the whole skyline of downtown.
Oh no, yo! I haven't seen the place. I saw the place under construction. I haven't been there yet, and obviously haven't since the pandemic hit. I definitely got to get out and see that stadium full because I saw that window with the LA skyline and the mountains in the back, and you're like, whoa, that's very nice. So West End Stadium looking spectacular.
Is this dude trying to? Why is everyone dropping shade on me in the chat today? I can ask him when LA Galaxy sells. The LA Galaxy has been the Cadillac of selling out stadiums since the beginning until Seattle came along.
Okay, so yes, let's be fair. Now the Galaxy stink.
Now, granted, I put quotes in sellout because
there's a lot of
times the seats are empty, but they're paid for.
Well, sometimes they're not paid for. Sometimes those tickets are distributed, if you know what I'm saying.
There's been plenty of times that we've been the best attended team in the league.
I don't think that StubHub Center for Research. I don't know what
I'm not. You know me. If I'm not gonna call Tucci, like I'm gonna call this StubHub.
What is the actual name though? Because I know
it's Home Depot.
Dick's Health Sports Park.
Dick Sport. No, it's not even Dick. That's Colorado. That Dick's
some dignity.
Dignity Health Sports Bank and Spa. That's
which
what
is ironic when you watch the Galaxy team the last 2 years. The name anything Dignity.
I've only been there for playoff games. I've only been there for MLS Cup finals. I've never been in for a regular season game. But when that place is full, when they add more seats up the hill, Jared.
It's unfortunate that the supporter section doesn't have a roof over the LA Rider Squad does. The ACB one that does not. So I think there would definitely be louder if there was a roof over that end.
It's a cool place to be when it's full. Yeah, there's it's a good vibe. Maybe it's not Seattle, maybe it's not LAFC, but it's a good vibe. I'm not gonna hit on that. I say. All right. Any business to attend to? We've already given out the schedule. We're coming back Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern time with a new show to follow the U.S. over against Jamaica. We have people giving us ratings and reviews.
You know it.
All right. Mr. Soup and Salad is up.
All right. We got a good one. Of course, they're all good. But this one is from Barry's Better Credit. It says, really is one of the best. A big shout out to Jason, Jay Rodius, and Nikki Soup and Salad for making this pod happen. It is a must listen for any fan of soccer in the U.S. Timely discussion on current topics, great banter between Jason and Jay Rodius, and it's always good for a chuckle or two. That's the one we got this week.
But by the way, we do have one more acknowledgement to make. Nikki Soup and Salad hit his milestone of losing 40 pounds before the age of 40.
Applause.
And he did it 3 months ahead of schedule, Nick?
Yes.
That's amazing, dude. So
that is absolutely brilliant.
Those guys in the chat or anything like that, send Nick a message on Twitter or in the Slack, and make sure you tell this guy good job because he's been working hard and he hit his goal way ahead of schedule, man. Good on you.
The Sausage King of Chicago.
I mean, we got Nikki Soup and Sausage over here dropping 40 pounds, getting healthy. I'm getting approached by random women in wineries, and Jared DuBois threw his back out. So,
How did you throw your back out?
We're all doing good.
Well, it started on Friday when I was sitting in this chair playing video games with my kid. And then I proceeded not to listen to my body and still go bang changs yesterday. And I banged them so hard that my back went out.
By the way, I've been banging some chains.
What?
On my phone. There's a game. I like it.
Disc Golf Valley?
Yeah, Disc Golf Valley. I've been playing Disc Golf Valley.
It's a fantastic game.
What is that reaction? That was what I was going for. I was going to draw it out a little bit longer than that, but we're out.
Sound of banging chains just makes you feel so good when you hit it pure.
Sure. Yeah. In the game, in the little virtual world. Patreon.com/the best soccer show. The best soccer show. Patreon.com/the best soccer show is where you can go to get extra stuff from us, bonus stuff, access to the Slack. We're working on some stuff. Again, if the old dad FC stuff really gets going, you're going to want to be a bestie at the Patreon because that's going to be the access to those.
Can I get an old dad FC cardigan? Maybe I'm the technical director and I'm on the sidelines and I have a patch.
You should have a patch that says it's always initials, but you and I have the same initials.
JR.
We can't be Jay Rodius. Is that what you're saying? Okay, that makes sense. Under this,
Rod. So Alex had SAF.
Rod.
Oh, that's true. He did.
Yes, that's true. He did. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about it. I don't know about cardigan necessarily, but some sort of official jacket activity. You know, even though you're in Southern California, you don't need jackets ever. Don't need that. By the way, the thing about the Patreon that we want to express to everyone is that Nicky Soup and Salad does this out of his own goodwill. He's just a good friend. He loves the show. He helps us out. He's got all the equipment. He's a podcast king over there. Patreon helps us ship some money to Nicky Soup and Salad every month for all the work that he does to help him along his journey that he's taking right now. He's got to be able to pay for that Peloton, Jared. It doesn't pay for itself. Yeah. I mean, it's expensive over there. I think I don't know what the Peloton, the Peloton's like a couple G's up front, right? What is that? Do you want to share that?
Just over $2,000 for the Peloton.
And then you're paying for monthly classes.
You got to pay $40 a month for the service. Yeah. But
keep
working.
Nicky Soup and Salad in Peloton, I guess. Give him that Peloton money.
Yeah, but hey, no, keep him healthy. That's what we want. Keep Nicky Soup and Salad healthy. Keep him Nicky Soup and Salad, so we don't have to go back to Nicky Soup and Sausage. Right?
Yes,
we're done with that. Done with that. That is that it. Follow us at Bestie Soccer on Twitter. The Best Soccer Show on Instagram. Jay Rodius, easy. Find him there. Davis JSN. Nick's what's the handle? Is it Nick Suberling?
What is Nick Suberling?
At Nick Suberling.
Good luck spelling that.
I'll help him out. SEUBERLING. Suberling.
Yep.
There it is right there. All right, that's it. Anything else, Mr. Dubois?
That's it, baby.
All right, talk to you guys on Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, call-in show after USA Jamaica. See you then.
Michael freaking Oscar Pascal.
Danger Zone! Damn, dog, that's in a pro. Damn, dog.
And/or hello.
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
Until we die. We're right until we die. We're born to fight, we go all night. We're right until we die.
Playing hot dogs and donuts with two fangirls in the locker room.
Don't nobody go in the bathroom for about 45 minutes.
The Sausage King of Chicago.
Oh, it's incredible. I wouldn't be caught dead in a sweater vest.
Jay Rodius.